this episode of My Cat's Tale, let's meet Clara and Storm.
Clara's a tabby and Storm's a tuxedo. He's a bit bigger than her, but she's the boss. They know a lot more people around here than I do. They go into houses of folk I don't know. Clara has a chair in one of the neighbours' summer houses because she just goes in there and sits in it with them.
Joining me now on My Cat's Tale is David from, I understand, the far north of Scotland, but sometimes the geography can be a bit east and west and whatever. Welcome to the show, David.
Hi. I live near Aberdeen and I come from the far north near John O'Groats.
And the story we're telling today is about Clara and Storm.
Yeah, they're my cats that I've had for 6 years now. I'm a systems engineer, so I'm away a lot and rely on my neighbours to look after them while I'm away, and a fair bit of technology as well. Technology
is a big part of their story, but first of all, let's go back. How old were they when you found them?
When I moved into my house, I sort of idly thought I would get a pet or two when I settled in, and about 8 years later, I had no pets. I was buying new windows and my sister suggested getting a blank panel in the patio doors so that I could have a cat flap. And I did. Once they were in, bought cat flaps. Following weekend, after a work trip away, I thought, about time to start looking for cats. Found ones, contacted them, went and saw them and took them home next morning.
So the cat flap came first before the cats?
I thought I'd better be prepared. There was two kittens looking for a home. They were 12 weeks old. They'd been with their mum the whole time. Their mum was apparently desperate to get rid of them. and by that I mean the cat, their mum.
So they've lived with you ever since?
Yeah.
But your work takes you away quite a lot. They're left alone, but they're never really alone when you go away, are they?
That was one of the things before I decided to get them, was speaking to neighbours, see that they'd be willing to feed them if I went away at short notice. If I get a call saying you need to be on a helicopter in 2 hours or something like that. And it's turned out they've never been in a cattery. They just stay here. Or they've been up with my parents for a couple of weeks if I've been away for a couple of weeks.
So there is a lot of community around Clara and Storm near you?
Yeah, I've got a few neighbours that take turns feeding them. They know a lot more people around here than I do. They go into houses of belong to folk I don't know. Clara has a chair in one of the neighbours' summer houses because she just goes in there and sits in it with them.
Tell me about them.
They're from the same litter, although Clara's a tabby and Storm's a tuxedo. He's a bit bigger than her, but she's the boss. They go out alone, but often appear back together. They will fight, but if there's another cat about that's having a look at them, they'll stand shoulder to shoulder, and it can be like seconds apart. Clara could give Storm a clout, and then the next thing they see a ginger cat across the road, and they're side by side.
Do you hear much from the neighbours about what they're getting up to?
One neighbour who used to work shifts woke up one day and found Clara sleeping on the bed next to him because the summer doors were open and she just wandered in, found somewhere comfortable. Have places that they sleep with, when they settle down with neighbours to just go and see them.
Yeah. So obviously Clara and Storm have yourself in your house as their home, but how many other places do you think that they would consider places that they could visit?
I've been looking for Storm's tracker once and discovered it was in someone's garden, so I couldn't just wander in and pick it up, so I called at their door, and then when they opened the door, Storm had followed me. He was at my heel, and I saw in their kitchen Clara lying on the floor getting her belly rubbed. There's someone I'd never met before.
Tell me about these trackers.
couple of times they'd got stuck in places. Storm had got stuck in a neighbour's garage, and then Clara in a greenhouse. And I'd sort of looked at seen adverts and looked at the things before, but hadn't got round to deciding anything. And then when the second time, when Clara got trapped, I thought, right, it's time to get this. And then I ordered it, or ordered one each. And before it arrived, I got a call while I was out from one of my neighbours. And they said, David, it's about your cat. And you can probably imagine my thought was, oh, what's happened to her or him? But what had happened was she'd got in a Tesco delivery van, and the next stop was a few miles out into the country. It was at a driving range, the next stop, and I spoke to the driver because he'd had to come back because he'd actually forgotten to make his delivery in the commotion. He said they'd been delivering to my neighbour, gone back out to the van to shut the door, and this black and white cat, Storm, jumped out. And he thought, oh, that was lucky. Shut the door, drove to his next stop, and opened the door, and another cat jumped out, Clara. So she sort of ran away a bit, looked about, and then disappeared into the trees. So went out looking, searched around the area, showed the driving range owner what she looked like, and left food. But she could have gone in any direction. She could have been home before me. Over the next few days, I posted on Facebook, put posters up at the driving range telling you, if you see this cat, tell them don't go near her. And then made leaflets and went all round all the houses in every direction that she might turn up at. Wasn't concerned that she would be hungry. She's a prolific hunter. I was more concerned that she wouldn't turn up until the autumn when everything started hibernating. A week later, that I got a phone call saying that she'd been seen at one of the houses I'd delivered a leaflet to, or something had been annoying the people's dogs all day. Saw her, just went round, called her name. She came striding out, meowing at me like, where have you been? Why have I been out here?
It's all your fault, David, isn't it? That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So that led to the idea of a tracker then?
Yes. First ones I had worked with GPS, sort of wear a collar with a breakaway section, then changed to other ones which were similar design, and now they've got ones that just hang off their ordinary collar. When they're sleeping, they sometimes push it out the way because it generally hangs under their chin. So
does it transmit or does it just record?
It transmits periodically depending on the movement. So it doesn't, if they're just lying sleeping, it doesn't bother updating as frequently as if they're fairly active. It records their activity as well, though.
Presumably it's battery powered. Obviously it's battery powered. Do you have to charge that up every week or so then?
To change the battery every 2 or 3 days. Power consumption seems to be affected by the telephone signal in the area.
What has it shown you about what Clara and Storm get up to?
It shows me the amount of distance they travel every day. They can do like 5 kilometres. They generally same areas, but just occasionally they disappear off somewhere else, and they don't retrace their route. They will do a big circle and come back to the house. I thought that Storm just got up in the morning when I was getting up, but then discovered from his tracker that each morning when the cat flap unlocked, he was going out doing a lap round the perimeter of the field across the road and then coming back to his bed. I didn't know he did that every day for a couple of weeks.
You said unlock the cat flap. There's a cat flap on a timer?
Yeah, they're connected. There's an app that can change the time. So there's a curfew setting, but of course it depends on them coming in, and they've sort of worked out how that operates. So they'll test if it's locked before they'll come in at night. Yeah, so this is just things that's helping me have them while I come and go. Try and keep a regular routine. I can see they're coming and going. It sort of allows me to sort of know what they're doing. I think it takes some of the pressure off the neighbours. If they don't see the cat, we can tell, right, Clara has been out and in 6 times today. Clara's across the road at one of her hunting places or something like that. So they're not panicking, thinking, I haven't seen a cat. Is a cat okay? Where is she? I like the idea of trying to have a routine.
It sounds like, though, that you've got this lovely balance of the technology that allows you to care for them and allows you also to go away for work, but also that they still have that contact with the neighbours when you're away.
Yeah, they know who's feeding them. If they've eaten all the food, they go to the house of whoever's feeding them.
What do your neighbours think of the tracker and the technology around the cats?
I think they're happy that we can see where they are, what they're doing. It gives them confidence that they're still about. They've not run off further or gone missing or anything.
And it's not just the trackers you have. You've got some cameras set up as well, so you can occasionally spot them, even in the middle of the night.
Yeah, got a camera for the garden because, what initially happened, they have a stray friend who would come around and started giving him food and to put a shelter in the garden for him. Started putting food in it, and after a few days, late at night, he started meowing outside the window. And I thought, you're already so reliant on this that you're complaining when you've eaten it or something. So went out to the shelter, just reached into where I knew the dish was and encountered this spiky thing. And leapt back, got a torch, and here's a hedgehog munching on the cat biscuits. Got hedgehog food, made a hedgehog shelter and feeder, and to keep them separate. And now we've got a double hedgehog feeder in the garden with a camera trained on it, and a couple of other 2 hedgehog houses with cameras trained on them.
Presumably also pick up other stray cats and animals that are coming through as well.
Yeah, there's see a few cats come through quickly and hang around for a while.
Is this the life that you expected 6 years ago when you're thinking cats? Is this what you envisioned? This lovely connected community?
I thought I would have to occasionally put them into a cat tray if I was away a while, or I didn't know they would get on so well with everyone. Clara in particular will occasionally take them up to my parents for, like, if I'm going offshore for 3 weeks, say, drive them up there, leave them there, and then go back for them when I come home.
So yeah, those long times away, they're going to go to your parents, and then when it's just away for a week or so, the shorter periods, they have all this help at home.
Yeah.
What's it like when you come home?
I often read about people when they go for a holiday and then the cat's in the huff for days. And the very first time I was away was just 2 nights and there was no bother. Then the next time I was away, it was supposed to be for 2 weeks. This is when they were still young kittens. And then there were storms and flights got delayed. Then it was looking like I wasn't going to get home for Christmas, and then definitely wasn't getting home for Christmas. What am I going to do? Neighbours are going away. My brother, on his way to my parents for Christmas, detoured via Aberdeen, picked up these kittens he'd never met and took them up to my parents. I'd been told that they would just be through the back of the house, same place as our previous cats had spent most of their time, and I think they'd been there about 10 minutes and they were lying on the sofa in the lounge. Once I eventually got back after Christmas and got up the road, a few hours before Clara sort of came round. Storm was a couple of days, and it wasn't just sort of huffing. He was making it clear that he wasn't in a good mood with me. He would sit on the lap of somebody sitting next to me, and he just sat there with his back to me for about 2 days, and then eventually he came round. Now he'll be waiting for me when I turn up.
Do they know when you're about to leave?
They know when I'm going because they see me taking out bags for my offshore trip and packing it and taking it out to the car. So they obviously know when I'm going away. If they're hungry and I've gone off with these bags, then they go and find someone else to feed them.
And it does sound like a lovely life. They're supported, they're loved at home. When you're there, when you go away, they know where else they can find love. But a lot of that we can find online as well.
I've got Instagram and Twitter accounts for them for different things. It's one of the things that's on the Instagram account is when Storm was on the TV. Early in the first lockdown, when the London Marathon was cancelled, a lot of the charities did 2.6 challenge, where you just could do anything that you were able to do at home to raise funds for them. They were losing out from the marathon not running. I'd been showing family where cats had been roaming over on the trackers, and one of them said, "Oh, you should should get them sponsored." And I investigated the 2.6 challenge for cats protection and decided to sign Storm up for that. The idea was to do 26 kilometres over the time of it and use a tracker to follow it. Just before the date, Katrina Renton asked on Twitter for anyone doing anything different to get in touch. So I answered from Clara and Storm's account. Bit of dialogue, I sent some video clips and photos, and then he was at the end of her report on Reporting Scotland about doing his 2.6 challenge. Then we had to do this 26 kilometres and make sure he reached his target to go out a walk at night as I was allowed to, and encourage him to come with me. Clara, of course, reached the 26 kilometres before with no encouragement. Last year they did 9 miles for cats, so decided to register the 2 of them for that, again using the trackers. What I did then was just picked out an individual mile each day and so made it into an artwork that I gave to people who sponsored us. And
these are the coasters that you sent down to the My Cat's Tail office as well, and it took us a while to work out what was going on because we hadn't been following them, but it's the trail of them just moving around the town.
Yeah, I just picked out a mile from each day and just got a line from that and just made it into a picture.
It's a lovely memento for those people who have supported the charity through Clara and Storm, and it's great to continue watching their adventures on Instagram and Twitter. We will put links back to Clara and Storm's account back on our website, mycatstailpod.com, as they continue to prowl around everywhere. David, it's been great to meet you, and it's been fantastic to hear how you stay in touch with your cats when you're travelling.
Thanks for letting me tell part of their tale.
You've been listening to My Cat's Tale, a Spence Media production. Listen to more tales of our perfect pets at mycatstailpod.com and support us on Patreon.